Are you ready to get into the zone? Today, we're talking all about heart rate zones, where you should be, where you probably are, and how to get the most out of your training. Let's go. Okay, here we go. So, heart rate training. What is it all about? Should I even be paying attention to my heart rate? And if I do, how do I get accurate with it? Do I need to have a chest monitor? Do I need to have a wrist? What's going to be best for me? And so heart rate training is it's simply all about that. It's just data. It's information that you can utilize to help you get the most out of every single training session, whether we're talking about running, whether we're talking about biking or swimming, whatever the activity is. Maybe even OCR style training. So when you're doing obstacles or lifting heavy weight, I use a lot of this stuff even for people that I train that are not doing a ton of running. And we've seen some great results in it. And so what is heart training all about? What is heart rate training all about? And so there's different numbers out there. I've seen as few as 3, and I've seen as many as 7 different heart rate zones based on what side of the pond you are or what your kind of philosophy is. But pretty much the majority of the time, what you're gonna see is you're gonna see the 5 heart rate zones. And so today we're gonna talk about those heart rate zones. It's your resting heart rate, zone 1, your recovery, zone 2, your aerobic, zone 3, your threshold, zone 4, and then your anaerobic in zone 5. So we're gonna kind of break those down just a bit today, give you a little bit more information, and get us going on the right direction. Okay, so before we get into the different heart rate zones too deeply, it's first a good idea to kind of establish where our basis comes from. So it's good to know what your max heart rate is, and then also good to know what your resting heart rate is. And through that, we can get better, more accurate formulas on where we need to stay in those zones. And so everyone is different. Now there's the tried and true, the 220 minus your age, but that's not very accurate because here's what it does. It comes down to your age. It comes down to your gender, so male or female. It comes down to your fitness age. And then it also comes down to genetics. So everyone is going to be different. And so you can go and get it tested, which is kind of expensive. You can go get a VO2 max test. You got to go to a special facility. They'll hook you up with tubes and plug stuff into you and all this good stuff. You can utilize different calculators that you can use online. That can give you kind of a closer guesstimation of where that's going to be based off of your age and fitness level and all that good stuff. You can also utilize maybe like some technology like a Garmin watch or Suunto, something like that, that has the capability of reading your heart rate. And the longer that you wear the items, the more often you wear them, that's how the algorithms are based on the technology. It can be a little bit more accurate, okay? And so for a lay person like us living in the real world that doesn't have, scientists that are backing us all the time, it can be kind of difficult to be right on point. So if we use the 220 minus your age, I'm 40 years old, so that puts my max heart rate at about 180. Well, my max heart rate is really closer to about 185. And so if we're going through our different zones and we're kind of getting on that edge, it's 5 beats per minute off, right? So it's not too far off, but it's close enough that you could maybe slip into some different zones that you may not intend to. So it is a good idea to get as close and accurate a measurement as possible. And so if you do that, then when we get into these zones, it makes it a lot easier, all right? So let's talk about the different zones. We'll skip past zone 1 because that's your resting heart rate. And we're gonna start with zone 2. Here we go. Okay, so zone 2 is what we're gonna start out with, right? This is also known as the recovery zone. It's also known as the fat burning zone. And so this is the zone where your heart rate is only about 65% of your max heart rate. So kind of stay between that 60 to 70% range. And so this is where your body gets really efficient at flushing out lactate. It's where your body actually gets super efficient at burning fat as well for long extended periods of time. And so when you're in this zone, you should be able to very easily hold a conversation. You can even do a little singing, hi-ho, right? And so you're running slow enough where you can really talk in paragraphs and sentences. And so this really helps to build your endurance and really help to, even if you've done maybe some hard workouts or something like that, it helps to get that blood flowing throughout your muscles, flushing out that waste, and help you to get back into the game again. So zone 2 is the zone where you should spend a lot of your training time, specifically after really tough workouts. All right, zone 3. All right, now zone 3, really honestly, this is the sweet spot for training. And so I like to call this the green zone because this is the money zone. Because here's what happens, okay? In the zone 3, in the aerobic zone, what happens is your heart gets super efficient at processing oxygen. And so oxygen in this zone is the main source of energy for your muscles. And so the heart, guess what it does? It pumps and it sends blood straight to your muscles, which then sends what's in blood? Oxygen. And that oxygen just gets really good at turning over and creating energy. And so the more proficient we are, the more efficient we are, or our heart is at getting this oxygen to our muscles, the better we're gonna be. And so it's also a great zone where you're still able to flush out lactate quicker than it's storing up in your muscles. And so this is the one, you should be able to go a pretty extended period of time in this zone. It should be, once again, a conversation-based zone. So you should be able to hold a conversation. So kind of the way I like to think of it is you can hear yourself breathe, but you can still hold a conversation. You may not be able to sing, but you can still hold a conversation. And so really probably 80% of your training or 80% of your running should be done in zone 3 and zone 2. Especially those long runs, you should spend most of your time in that zone 3. And this will help get you super efficient no matter what the distance. All right, numero cuatro. Number 4, zone 4. So this is probably the zone where the majority of people spend their time. And so this is the threshold zone. And so this is around 80 to 90% of your maximum heart rate. But the problem with this zone is that when you spend the majority of your time in this zone, you're running too fast to have any kind of aerobic benefit, but you're really running too slow to have any kind of anaerobic benefit. So you're kind of in between the two energy systems. And so your lactate threshold is around 60 minutes or so of an effort that you can hold before your body is no longer able to flush out the waste or flush out the lactate. And so that's where you start feeling the burn, you start bonking, you start getting the stanky leg, whatever it may be. And so we do want to spend some time in this zone, but the majority of our time should be in that zone 2, zone 3. And so remember the 80-20 rule. Well, this is part of that 20%. And so you can do like 20-minute tempo runs where maybe you're running, your 10K pace, or maybe close to your half marathon pace. And you can do intervals of this where maybe you do 2 15-minute intervals of these types of runs, and they will help to increase your lactate threshold, which will eventually help you get a little more efficient when you're running. But this is something we want to do kind of sparingly and not spend too much time in it. Okay, numero 5. All right, so here's the deal with number 5. Number 5 is what we call the anaerobic zone. And so this is the super intense, go hard or go home type speed or effort. And so this really, you can't spend probably more than 30 seconds to maybe 10 minutes, depending on your fitness level, because your heart is working so hard. And so this is actually a completely different energy system as well, because you are utilizing an energy system called ATP. And so it takes your body some time to be able to, once that energy is burned, which is very short, to replenish that energy and give you that ability again. So this is where I used to spend a lot of my time. And so doing a lot of circuit training, doing a lot of obstacle course training, doing a lot of things that were powerful, strong moves, but you do it for a short period of time. It got me strong, very confident. But the issue is that it really is not too beneficial for endurance events. Now, you can add this into your endurance training and it will help you be faster. It will help you be stronger in those endurance events, but it should be a very small portion of your training. So you remember that 20% rule? This fits into that 20%. And so this would be like your shorter intervals, your 200 meters, your 400 meters. These will be those things that you work into maybe your runs, maybe into your long run, maybe a track day, or maybe you go into do like some hill work, fartleks, whatever it may be, to help build that system and that strength so that you can get adept at being there. Because in a race, I guarantee you're gonna spend some time in this, but you don't wanna spend too much time here. But this is what's gonna help you get that kick at the end. 5 zones to really help you get where you need to go. And so hopefully you kind of get the concept and get the idea about having really purposeful training, right? Spending some time in some of these different zones to help get your strength levels up, but really concentrating the majority of your training on that aerobic and on that recovery style zones. And if you do that, I guarantee you, it seems really kind of counterproductive to slow down to go faster. But it is amazing the benefit you can do with that volume. So we really want to concentrate on quality work and make sure that we take that quality and we have a large volume of it. And if you do, I guarantee you will have and see some amazing results. And so thanks for coming again, guys. Thanks for dropping in. Hopefully you learned something. Drop down in the comment, maybe if you tried this before, if you've been working on this before, and you've seen some amazing results. If there's another type of training maybe you've done before, there's the 9-mile marathon training that's out there. There's all these different things that come out, and there's always these different types of fads that are out there. Some of them are steeped in science and study, and some of them, they tend to be faddish, and so, I love learning new things. I love discovering new training processes, and so hopefully you do too. And so if there's something out there you've seen that maybe has blown your mind, write down in the comments. Let us know, because we want to continue to grow this community, and we want to continue to educate this community, because we want to be the best athletes we can possibly be. And so it all comes down to this: when we change our minds, we change our lives. So come back. We'll see you again next week, guys. Give thumbs up. Give a big happy I love you James to everyone. I'm not sure what I'm saying, but it's okay. And we want to say congratulations to Todd Parker once again for winning the Sunto. Hit me up, Todd, so we can get that to you as quick as possible so you can start getting in the zone. What? All right, guys. Finishing it up. Last little bit. Thanks for coming. Make sure, if you haven't done so already, like, subscribe. What's up, Doc? Like and subscribe. Always share. You're always gonna love people, and you're always gonna share running with James with people that you love, of course.